Hello, everybody. It's 5:48 p.m. Central Time on the 1st of May, 2023. It's Monday here in the United States, and I hope you're doing well. We're here to talk about seismic events. In case you don't know where you're at, you're on the Earthquake live stream, Earthquake 3D live stream, and we're using the program Earthquake 3D to plot the earthquakes from the USGS and the Australians and Geophone Potsdam out of Europe. And we've got the new backgrounds on screen here from the Duchess. She really scored with a lot of these new backgrounds. And man, I'll tell you what, really looks good. Just all kinds of choices. But we're not here to do the artistic look. We're here to actually talk about some events that are taking place. And I've got to talk about also something that's going on in Mexico. You know what? Let's do that first. Let's get the Mexico situation out of the way, and then we'll get into the seismic update. In case you don't know, there's something going on down in Mexico that I started to make posts on last night. Yesterday evening, in the afternoon, I'll take you down here to Mexico. We're looking at this is today, but yesterday, I just went to go look at the weather, and I looked at a greater view of the whole North American continent, and I saw a giant burst of smoke coming from all of Mexico last night. I went to go look and see if there were any reports, and there was nothing, not a single mention, not even anybody, no research or nothing. So I made a post on it, showed everybody, and people were just mind blown. Then, after sunset, throughout the night, there's little black dots that you can barely see here, and these are actually hundreds of acres, if not maybe even a few thousand acres. It's pretty big, each spot. It's not like a farmer burning their field or something. But then today, you can see some of them are carrying on. And then right here, boom, this is now live. This is our most current image. And just all the way across central Mexico, from over here, following all the way across over to here. All fires, all at once, all yesterday. Not normal. We don't normally see this. And not even every, you have to tell me that this happens every year if it's farmers burning their fields. It doesn't. It's not normal. And these are fires. These are not clouds. There's clouds down here to the south, but all across yesterday, and now it's doing it again today. So that being said, I want to just show you what's there, and we'll just go zoom in from over here all the way across to here. Let's just zoom in the middle. Well, we could start over on the left side, or in the middle, you'll see a bunch of little dots on the ground. As I zoom in, you'll see they're changed from dots to actual volcanoes. These are all volcanoes. Every single one of these, the big ones and the small ones. So the small ones are small butte cones or small fissures that open on the side of the larger volcanoes like this. Larger volcano doesn't have a name on it, or maybe it does. Let's turn on our borders and labels, places, and see if it has anything. Yeah, it doesn't even have names on most of these. And they just go on and on and on. Every one of these is a little volcano and a big one next to it. So the little ones are the small buttes are forming on the side of the larger volcanoes as magma comes up and forces its way out on the sides. And you can see, so they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 or 14 volcanoes just around this bigger one right here. And we go all the way around, and again, it's not up for debate. Each one of these is a volcano, and then you see we start going out into insane numbers of them all over the place, all across. All right, now let's take you back and show you the greater region. We just keep going and going and going. Every single one of these is a small volcano. All these little green splotches here next to the bigger ones, and we even go down into residential areas. Cities. Right? I mean, come on. That's Mexico City. They got the volcanoes right across the center of Mexico City. We go down to the east, southeast. We keep going on. But anyway, I take you back across all the way to where it starts. Let's bring it back proper here. We're going all the way across here. All right. Now, I just showed you it's all volcanoes. That's what it is. It's not farmers burning their fields. And it's not a cartel out there starting a fire all at once. What are they all like? Got walkie-talkies? They're going to start the fires all the way along the entire area all at once just for the hell of it? Yeah, right. Okay, so volcanoes across the area, fires break out across the area at a time where the plate is going into shift mode. And when I say shift mode, I should just say the plate is shifting. The North American plate And so are every other plate. Well, they never stop, but we're going into overdrive right now. Now, speaking of overdrive, we'll jump across the Pacific to the opposite side. This gets into the seismic update. So Japan, look, all this going on down here next to Okinawa. And let me show you how close we are to Okinawa. Right offshore of Okinawa, maybe about 50 miles offshore. And I'll bring you across the ocean, opposite side. And there's a connection between Japan and Mexico, in case you didn't know. We've seen back and forth quakes between Japan, Ecuador, West Pacific, and Mexico, back and forth. Multiple times we've seen that happen. But anyway, over here to Japan, we're off the coast of Okinawa to the east, right out here. And something's seriously moving there. Now, whenever I see something like this, and it goes on for days, we have to keep watch for potential large earthquake activity to accompany a shift like this. And we would look somewhere in the region, which puts Japan in the mix, obviously, from south at Philippines all the way to North Japan into the Kuril Islands, where the center of the area that's shifting right now, clearly, obviously, is next to Okinawa, and then 4s are going all the way up to Kamchatka, and 5s are back down to the south, this being the center of the area shifting. I would watch it. I'm not saying something like 2011 is going to happen. In 2011, we saw hundreds of 4s and 5s go up along the coast, spread 200 miles, and then we saw our 9.0 earthquake. In this case, it's dozens. So we're looking at dozens of quakes, not hundreds. However, they are all clustered right next to Okinawa, which would put then North Philippines to North Japan in the mix. I already have a warning going in North Japan from Hokkaido up into the Kuril Islands up here for a potential large earthquake, 7 point something. A few more days to go on the watch. After I issued the watch, this happened. So Japan is clearly moving. Is it going to break with the large quake? Well, we'll know in a few days. That's why I have the warning going in North Japan. With this in South Japan, I would look everywhere between where it's moving and where we got the warning going. Now, let's talk about this. Italy. Italy got hit. Now, I did an update yesterday, and I could take you over to my YouTube page if you guys want to go see that. You know what? Let's just go over there real quick and show you what I'm talking about. Okay, here on my YouTube page, I did a video yesterday, 19 hours ago, and in there I talk about Italy and talking about watching for 4.5 to 5.0 earthquake activity to strike central Italy. Well, here we are at South Italy, and a 5 hit, the first in months for all of Italy, and it's a deep earthquake at 250 kilometers deep. So this fulfills the forecast. This hit just like an hour after my update premiered yesterday. So literally an hour after I did my update warning Italy, Italy got hit. And it got hit with a deep quake. Now, deep quake means there's likely going to be a shallower, larger earthquake up to a magnitude larger. And how big is it? 5.2 according to the USGS. And if we get a magnitude larger, then we're looking at up to 6.2 in Italy. And let me take you over and show you the USGS plate boundary map over in Italy. So there's our 5.1. And in the past, when we see deep earthquakes below Italy, we have to keep watch for central Italy, up to North Italy, but mainly central Italy, for a shallower, larger quake. And if it's 5.2, shallower, larger means up to 6.2 is potential. I hope I'm wrong. I hope it doesn't hit. Hope it spreads out. But we have to warn everybody from South Italy over to Bosnia and up to North Italy, like in this area right here across the Adriatic Sea, basically from here up to here and over to here. And the center of it being right next to the deep quake. But anyway, this already fulfills the forecast. So the forecast was for 4.5 to 5.0 earthquake to strike central Italy, and within 200 miles, we got it. All right. Now, United States. Let's go over and take a look at the United States, see what's going on. Well, actually, Central and South America, too. 5.2 to 5.3, 2 different earthquakes striking across Ecuador going into Peru. So, actually, I should just say Peru, right at the Ecuador border, across Peru to central Peru. But you see it, 2 different earthquakes. They were back-to-back within hours of each other. This one went 9:31 UTC, and this one just a few hours before at 17:38. Okay, and now we get into the United States. So, is anything changed since my last update? Well, Southern California continues to move. We're swarming in Southern California. That's obvious. And let me get the earthquakes just for today on the screen. Last night's update covered, well, I should say for last night and today. Last night's update, I talked about the New Mexico quake. Here's everything since. So we're starting to pick up in the number of earthquakes and the size on the New Madrid seismic zone. We're going up to near 3.0 all of a sudden. Multiple earthquakes plus a near 3. Meanwhile, Oklahoma, 1s. Texas, 1s and a 2. Well, clearly the wave is spread over to the New Madrid, but we're looking for a 5 to strike down in southwest Texas. And we're looking for a 4.5, the first in months, to strike in Oklahoma. That has not happened yet. Instead, the wave is reaching out over to the east. It's going to reflect back into itself. When it does, then we take the step up. We go the next magnitude up in the New Madrid. And then we go up to 5s in Texas because we're coming over from the west coast with 5.0 level activity. Northern California is getting ready to break. Should see this break in the next few days. Northern California up at Eureka, right at the south side of the Juan de Fuca fracture zone. There's 2 lines of earthquakes, one going down the coast again. Creeping section starting to creep again, but just with 0s and 1s. And 0s and 1s going down the California-Nevada border. There's a change, though. A swarm has broken out in Utah. In Utah! A swarm of 0s. I mean, negative earthquakes. Look at this. Negative 0.1. A swarm of 0s. The computer's weighing in to let us know nothing's happening here. It's like Leslie Nielsen standing in the Naked Gun movie, where he's standing in front of an exploding fireworks factory. And he's saying nothing is happening here. That's what AI is doing with this computer stuff. Let's go take a look and see what's not there. Well, a negative earthquake. What are we doing? We're sucking in an energy, or we got a vortex down below this location? What is this? The Blundell plant. Oh, how weird is that? I had a teacher named Blundell. Grade school. He was my favorite teacher. Wow, looks like we did a lot of scraping here. Hashtag Tartaria. Yeah, right. All right, look at that. Oh, Dutch, this is for erosion control. That's what it is, Dutch. Oh, really? Where did they scrape it all to? Where are the piles they scraped? Look at these lines going through the desert out in the middle of nowhere. Look at that. In Utah. Oh, that's what it was. It was in the 1800s, Dutch. The original Mormons came in and scraped this all out, you see? Oh, yeah, with their horse-drawn buggies and stuff. Yeah, I get it. Could we do this now with bulldozers? No? Oh, wow. I guess those horses were huge. Like Paul Bunyan and his blue ox, they're 10,000 feet high. All right, back to the Blundell plant. What is this thing? It's a geothermal plant. Those are turbines. Those are turbines right there for providing electrical power to the hashtag Tartaria area. The Tartaria. The Tartaria area. Up to the north, we have a line of quakes that comes in and goes down to Yellowstone. Nothing's changed here except for the swarm there is stopped. The swarm at Yellowstone stopped while the swarm down to the south picked up at the geothermal plant. I wonder where this 1.8 is. Centerfield, Utah. Wonder if there's anything there. When I find one, I got to go look at the other. Find another one just like the other one. What's going on here? Red Lake Spice Rub. What is... I don't even want to know. Some business. Centerfield. Okay. Is there anything worth mentioning here? Let's turn on our volcanoes and place marks. Okay, we're pretty far away. I would say, yeah, that's very far away from any volcanic feature. So this would actually be fault zone related, north and south. Oh, wait, did I say it's far away? No, I was just waiting for this to populate. We're right on the other side of the hill from Black Rock Desert. Let's see how many miles this is, because I always look 40 miles, and this could be more than 40 miles away. The reason I look 40 miles is because the magma chambers can shift. We're at 39.5 miles from the center of Black Rock Desert. Okay, we're right on the edge of what I would consider to be the furthest most perimeter point of an area that could be affected by a volcano. But there's no doubt about it. There's a large volcanic field in here. It's not just one. Look at this. Look at this lava flow. It goes up to the north. Pavant Butte. This is all lava flow. All of this goes out, around, and down and connects to Black Rock Desert. Then connects down to this one. I guess this is also Tabernacle Hill lava tubes. All right. Okay, anyway, all of this is a volcanic field. So once you get the size of it in perspective, then an earthquake next to it makes more sense. Over to the east, this is where our oil pumping operations start, and there's just hundreds of thousands of drill points that are across here for oil and gas to the east by a few miles, but far enough away or further away than the volcanoes. And all of this is drilled into all of this. In other words, this whole part of Utah is drilled. All of it. Let me just randomly zoom in. I'll just move my mouse around, stop, and zoom in. You see them? Here, let me zoom in some more. Maybe now you'll see them. Maybe I need to zoom in more. Now you see it. So every one of these little rectangular and square pads that's out here, they look like little sand dunes, don't they? And then you start to see it's the whole thing. Every one of these is a drill point. And I could just keep going and going and going. Like I said, hundreds of thousands. All the way up and across. And they look like grids on the ground almost when you look from this high up. Through the fields, through the farms, through the towns, through everything. Back across, through the mountains. And to the other side of the mountains, to the peaks. And then down through the valley that I just showed you, and here's our quake next to the volcano. Anyway, I take the time to show it because I would expect the earthquakes to spread there in the next few days. I mean, if it's going across the volcano and it's going up to the edge of the pumping operation on the edge of Black Rock Desert, it's kind of a no-brainer. It's going to be going up into the drill points up into Utah. What's going to be going into the drill points, I guess you might ask if you're new? A wave. The same wave that's going down California's coast. Now let's get down to Southern California. So we're still moving down south. San Jacinto, going over to Anza Gap, oh man, they told me how to say it. Borrego? Whatever. Borrego. That's what it is. Borrego. Anyway, Anza Gap. San Jacinto Fault, west of Salton Sea, east of San Diego. You see the diagonal line of quakes. It's going down to the volcano at the south side of the lake, or the body of water, Salton Sea, the sea. And then it goes down to the border. Well, at Salton Sea and down at the border, there's something at each spot. A volcano is at one of them. Let me show that to you. First spot where it's moving, right here, next to the Salton Buttes place mark from the Smithsonian. Literally, our swarm is right here at the Elmore Geothermal Facility, just like the other geothermal swarm I showed you over at Utah. And then we go down here to the border right at Calexico. And right next to Calexico is this. Well, a little solar farm right there, but this, geothermal turbines again. For getting the steam. Now they're doing a boatload of generation of power down here now. Instead of farming, they've turned the farm fields into solar farm fields. Lots of electrical generation. Whole miles and miles and miles of it now. Again, they're replacing the crops with these. I don't know if we have a drive-by of this yet, though. These are pretty recent. Let's go see if it shows in the fields. Yeah, there's a green field on one side. No, they're there. There they are. Lots of electric. And we get earthquake activity next to electrical generation facilities, whether they're solar, wind, natural gas, nuclear. Very low frequency on the power. Anyway, let's recap. Line of earthquakes coming down the California coast, going down to Southern California. That fulfills last week's forecast. We're now looking for Northern California to get up to a 5.5 in the next several days. We're looking for a new near 5 to strike in West Texas on the edge of the Craton, and a 4.5 to strike in Oklahoma. Swarming is expected on the New Madrid, possibly up to 4.0, but swarming is expected. And I had actually warned the Illinois-Indiana border region. Right now we're at South Missouri, Tennessee, Kentucky. So I'm about 200 miles off on my warned area right now. We have a warning going for 4.0 plus level activity to strike in Virginia this week on the East Coast. And then I didn't even really talk about it because very few people care or even pay attention. But in southeast Quebec, far northeast up by Maine, we should also see a new 4 plus earthquake in the next several days, not just the East Coast. We're seeing a bunch of new deep earthquake activity, and the deep earthquake activity follows the solar storm. So, solar storm, deep earthquake activity, and then you can see the deep earthquakes raised high off the planet here. Anyway, the deep earthquakes lead to shallower, larger earthquakes. And next to our deeps, what do we have? Well, you see it, a swarm of 4s and 5s going up to 6.0 in Japan. I think it's going to go the next step higher in Japan. And then we go down to our warned area. The warned area is the middle of the whole area right here that's moving from all the way up here to all the way down here. And the middle point is here. North Hokkaido going into the Kuril Islands, which is my warned area from 6 days ago or 5 days ago. Now it's the middle point. 5 to 6 days ago, it was the total quiet point. There was nothing there. Now it's the middle point looking to get hit. I hope I'm wrong. Over to Europe, one more time. Italy got hit. New deep earthquake down below it. But, I mean, come on, this fulfills the forecast that I issued yesterday. And now I have to issue a new forecast up to 6.2 for the next 7 to 10 days. We're already on day 1 of the 7 to 10 day watch. So the next 9 days, we watch in Italy now for the potential of a 6 to come rolling in, or something very close to it. And 9 days from now puts us to the 9th. 10th. So, a lot going on. West Coast United States is where a lot of people are going to notice, and that's a 5.5, what we're looking for there. New Zealand, for my New Zealand viewers, we're watching for an extremely large earthquake to develop. North of New Zealand, most likely up here in the Kermadex, but I have to warn everybody from Kaikoura, south of Wellington, all the way across, up here all the way to Fiji, since it's going to be up to 7.6. We had a deep 6.6 here, and 1 magnitude larger on a 6.6. There it is. Let me get it on the screen here. So 6.6, and we expect up to a magnitude larger. That puts it up to 7.6 potential for the next 7 to 10 days from this one. So we're in on that one already. I've already issued the warnings for that. Please keep watch in the region around the deep quakes. Plural. The more deep quakes there are, the more areas we have to watch. Oh, my Australian viewers, check it out. You started to move down here by Kangaroo Island in Adelaide and also by Perth again. Now, I'm expecting this to go up by 2 magnitudes. So we're going to go up to 4.5 down in Australia. A Dutch Synths logo, my underwater base, got hit down here yesterday. Dutch Synths period right at the end, 5.1. But we're looking for 4.5, 4-ish to come rolling across the plate. Could go even bigger. It could go a next magnitude larger even, but I'm basing this all on something that doesn't exist yet, which is a push coming in from up here that I haven't seen yet. Looking for a 5 to come rolling in up here on the north side, northwest side of Australia. Then we're looking for 4s to go across the plate, but that may be wishful thinking. It might just go straight across the plate. We got a lot of movement. I mean, we're going all the way down to the Dutch Synths logo already. So, all right, word up and much love. You guys are good. Duchess is waving goodbye out of the room as she's getting out of here, and I'm going to be signing off right about now. Let me tell you to have an earthquake plan and be prepared. You need to know what to do when an earthquake strikes. I'm serious. Take shelter underneath a table or a desk. That's what we are told to do, and you need to do it if a quake hits. If it's a huge quake and you're in a stone-stacked structure, you should probably think about having an exit plan, but that gets into a whole nother can of worms about where to go outside. Outside is usually a worse spot to run into, actually, because things can be falling from further up above than just in your house. So something off the roof or something off another building or a power line, or if you're in a city, then something, from hundreds of feet up could be falling. And you'd be way better off in your skyscraper that's shaking, and it's, you would think, oh, I'm in a skyscraper, I need to get out of here. Unless it's a mega quake, I would stay in it. Now, the Turkey earthquakes were a little peculiar because of the construction over in Turkey and in Eastern Europe with the cinder block and stone stack structures and concrete pour structures. That's a little different. It's like a parking garage, one of those big parking garages, kind of like the last place you'd want to be in an earthquake. But these are things that you accept and know already. A large concrete stack structure, and if you're in an earthquake, you probably wouldn't want to be in there. So you got to make appropriate plans. Those are risks that we all accept, right? Okay. Now, when it comes to survival afterwards, you need an emergency kit. You don't want to be dependent on the government or on goodwill of other people to give you stuff. So you need to have change of clothes, set of shoes, flashlight, batteries. You don't want to be dependent on your phone flashlight only goes a foot or two in front of you when you might need to see a good distance in front of you. What else? You guys can make the appropriate communications. Oh, that's something I very seldomly talk about. You need a form of communication if you don't have a mobile phone. You might want to get walkie-talkies that you could give out to the people around you so you can stay in touch. Those kind of things could make a big difference if you're without communication for a while. Other things, come on. The food and water is very important, but the water is what you probably need to take care of and have locked down the most. Food you could probably get by for a few days on the bare minimum, but with water in a disaster, you're going to need it pretty quick. Okay, anyway, just reminding you, I do that at the end of every broadcast. This update is pretty matter of fact. I'm not going down the joking around rabbit hole on this. We're going through seismic unrest. I'm having to make multiple videos, one almost every day at this point. That's a big increase for me having to report on. So you see what's going on south of Japan. You see what's going on over in Europe. We're warning for 5.0 level activity to come back to the United States in the Northwest, coming into California. Don't get caught off guard when you can see it. It's one thing if you couldn't see it, but you can see that we're spreading. You can see we have deep earthquakes. And now that you know, and I'm telling you, that deep earthquakes have a shallow or larger earthquake effect, you know there's going to be bigger earthquakes coming here pretty soon, based upon all the deeps. Okay, all right, I'm going to save this. We're going to save it. We'll get it out over on YouTube. Enjoy these wonderful views provided by the Duchess. Just awesome. I got 40 of them. 40 different new backgrounds to play around with. Just incredible. Anyway, peace out, word up, much love, and I'll be back. If anything else big strikes, you can expect another video from me.